So, hello everybody. This presentation is to report about what is this? Okay. So this presentation is to report about the activity we had in this project Caravelle to foster the possible use of SAR data in the context of extreme events such as a tropical cyclone. I cannot change. Okay. Yes. So the content of the talk is the following. I will start by recalling the objectives. Then I will present some results regarding the three main objectives, which are the observation of the tropical cyclone, measuring some parameter from this observation, few application, and then I will conclude with some remark on the project. So let's start with the background. So the three important points to notice. To date, there are very few measurements of tropical cyclone in open ocean, especially if you go for high resolution to describe the vortex structure near the ocean surface. Second, in the context of climate change, the tropical cyclones are expected to become more intense, and at the same time, there still remain a lot of uncertainties regarding the short forecast of intensity of this tropical cyclone, especially for rapid intensification. So it's still an active area of research. And at last, recent studies suggested that the new generation of SAR, so Romain already talked about it a bit, should allow for monitoring of the ocean surface during the tropical cyclone event at very high resolution. Also, they should allow for providing an estimate of the ocean surface wind, and this wind should be valuable information to describe the TC wind structure, including the inner core itself of the vortex. So here is an image of two acquisition with the same satellite. So it's two different sensors. So on the right, it's an optical image. So it's the classical way of seeing a tropical cyclone from space, let's say. So you see the cloud pattern wrapping around the tropical cyclone eyes, where on the left-hand side, this is a view obtained with a SAR, where it's mainly the contribution of the surface that is providing this signature on the images, as Romain already described a little bit in the first presentation. So this is what we will talk about today, the use of this data. So our objectives were the following. First, to optimize the use of satellite to be able to observe the tropical cyclone with this synthetic aperture radar. Then to try, once we have this observation, to do some measurements of geophysical parameter, in particular the wind speed here. Then use this measurement to characterize the wind structure, and finally to show how this information can be used for some science application or operational application like TC forecasting or TC analysis by Tropical Cyclone Center, or also working on the improvement of our understanding of air-sea interaction in the case of tropical cyclone with the Okay, so first observing the tropical cyclone. So what you need to know is the fact that this acquisition are very high resolution, so the sensor cannot provide continuous acquisition due to memories storage and downlink capacity. You should have an acquisition plan, and this acquisition plan does not cover properly the ocean to monitor the tropical cyclone, meaning that the satellite can be switched off over the tropical cyclone or in an acquisition mode that is not suitable to do some measurements. So we needed to define a dedicated strategy to organize the acquisition in the proper mode over the tropical cyclone. So to do that, we decided to rely on 3 satellites. So the 2 from the European Space Agency, these are the Sentinel-1, and 1 from the Canadian Space Agency, which is a RadarSat 2, sorry. And so we define a specific methodology to use the tropical cyclone forecast track from the tropical cyclone center to trigger some acquisition at the space agencies. And in the particular case of Caravelle, we did this for the South Indian Ocean with a strong partnership with Météo France, which is a tropical cyclone center of the WMO network, to order this data. And so these data have been collected during the project and then stored in a database. And on the right-hand side here, what you can see is a set of 3 acquisitions acquired over tropical cyclone Michael in the Gulf of Mexico. So next. So here, what you see is the status of this database that we built over time. So we started this work, in fact, in 2016, and we extended because at first we were only working on the equatorial area in the North Hemisphere, let's say, like East and West Pacific and North Atlantic. And in 2017, with Météo France at La Réunion, we started to do acquisition in the south of Indian Ocean. You can see here that we now have collected a lot of data in this area as well. You can also see on this slide that we were able to collect data for various categories, including the strongest one, the category 5, all over the world, also including some acquisition over the Fiji and Australia, and also taking advantage of the 3 sensors that we targeted at the beginning of the project, so RADARSAT-2 and the 2 Sentinel-1. Okay, so we have the observation. So now comes the question of what do we do with this observation to provide measurements. The challenges to provide measurements here for us were to use the 2 channel of polarization, because as I said in the beginning, this kind of sensor can provide 2 images at the same time of the same area over the ocean. So here it's an example of 2 acquisitions. Each one is in a different polarization state for the antenna. And in fact, they have very different properties. On the left-hand side, the signal is not very sensitive to the wind in the extreme, but the quality of the signal is very good. Whereas on the right-hand side, this is the contrary. You have a strong sensitivity to the wind in extremes, but at the same time, you have a low quality of the signal, especially when the signal to noise ratio is low. So we derive an algorithm which is able to combine these 2 channels with respect to their quality, and at the same time also we revisited the relationship that allow you to go from the radar signal to an estimate of wind speed to provide an estimate of wind speed. So for this case of always the same TC, I present you here 3 estimates of wind speed. So the results of the method that we propose is on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, these are the 2 results that you can obtain if you consider only one polarization. So this slide really shows you how we were able to combine, let's say, the strengths of the 2 polarization to come up with a clean wind speed estimate, and at the same time considering the sensitivity of the signal in the case of really extreme wind. So you see on the right, you can see my mouse, several features that can be noted. First, you see that the eye is very well represented by our measurements due to the high resolution of the radar. This is exactly why you can also have a very accurate description of the coastal wind as presented by Romain. You see them here also on the top right on the map, that you can see very clearly the orography effect on the coastal wind in Japan. The second point is that the maximum wind here is about 100 knots, and this value is in line, in fact, with the analysis provided by the Tropical Cyclone Forecasting Center. So to validate this, we we need to find some good reference data, which is in fact an issue because there are very few data in this kind of storm, and we decided to use the measurements from airplanes that are operated by NOAA. They fly into the eyes of the hurricane, and they collect data during this flight, and so we perform collocation. Sorry. Okay, so we perform collocation between these airborne measurements and our satellite measurement to be able to compare them. On the right-hand side here, I present, it's always for tropical cyclone Michael. So you see the trajectory of the tropical cyclone, and you see also the trajectory that is done by the flights operated by NOAA. So they to visit the hurricane, go into the center, collect some measurements, and then go back to land. So the next slide is an example of validation exercise for Irma tropical cyclone. What you see on the right panel is just a comparison between what we produce and what is measured by the airplane. So to the top left is a map derived from our product. The alpha shape here, if you follow my mouse, is in fact the trajectory of the airplane, and each dot represents the measurement from the airplane. So you see that there is a very well agreement with the data, and if you look at the bottom plot, it's in fact exactly the same plot, but it's not with respect to space, it's with respect to time. So what you can see, the measurement from the airplane in black that is going inside the hurricane eye wall. So this is where you have the very steep gradient and then the minimum wind value in the center going outside and then going for another crossing of the hurricane eye on the right hand side. And in blue, this is the measurement from the satellite. So you see that there is quite a good agreement. In fact, we did a validation over 30 collocated cases. These are the only cases we could find, and we come up with this kind of a bias around 0.2 meter per second for the bias and 4 to 5 meter per second for the root mean square, for wind speed ranging between 5 and 80 meters per second. So now the application, once we have this data, so I will present three different applications, very high-level presentation. So the first one is are we able to define the vortex parameter that are usually provided by the Tropical Cyclone Center? In other words, can we provide information that could be valuable for them, and also that could be valuable to describe a vortex? So you have in the classical variables they are producing, you have the inner core variable. So this includes the maximum sustained wind speed and the radius of maximum wind. So you see on the right, this is a profile of winds of 10-meter wind speed with respect to the radius from the TC center. So the maximum wind describes the maximum wind. Radius of maximum wind is the location where you have this maximum wind, and then comes the wind radii, R64, R50, and R34, that in fact describe the outer core, so the area of maximum wind outside of the eye. And if you plot this parameter on a map, you come up with this kind of graphic on the bottom right, always for Michael. So you see the extent of this radius of maximum wind that are provided in 4 different geographic quadrants. So the solution to come up with this kind of parameter was to define an algorithm to find the tropical cyclone center and then analyze the data to derive this parameter. So this is what we did, and here I present some results. On the top, you have the maximum wind, so Vmax, with respect to the category of the storm, and here, so in black, here what you can see is the trend of this Vmax as given by the Tropical Cyclone Center analysis in solid black, and in a dashed line, this is what we have with our measurements. So you see that there is quite a good agreement. In the contrary, For the radius of maximum wind, we see a fairly good agreement for Cat 1, Cat 2, and Cat 3, but when it comes to the strongest category after Cat 3, then there is a discrepancy between the radius of maximum wind that we can obtain from the SAR and what is provided by the tropical center. I will come back on this discrepancy just after. And regarding the outer core wind radii, so the parameters that describe the structure of the hurricane outside of the eye wall, the agreement is on the right hand side, and you see that it's fairly correct for the three wind radii. On the bottom, this is a direct comparison, so scatter plot between the data from the tropical cyclone center and the data from our measurements. And what you need to look at here is the data that are circled with a green lozenge. And in fact, these are data for which there have been acquisition with an airplane. And so when you look at this data in particular, you see that our result for the maximum wind is in line. In fact, it's always in line, but you can notice that when there is airplane, it's in line. But the most interesting is that for the RMAX, it's also the case. So it means that when this tropical cyclone center have an airplane data, they are able to produce a value of RMAX that is in line with what we measure. But when they have not, in fact, we are not in line anymore. And this shows that the SAR data indeed has this capability of providing a more accurate data for the radius of maximum wind than what is routinely produced in the tropical cyclone center when they do not have airborne data. And finally, just a few words to say that these data are produced operationally even now that Caravelle is finished in a context of a project with the European Space Agency and done with CLS. And these data are used operationally by some tropical cyclone in the world, in particular the last season. This has been used by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, for instance. Another application. So here's a question we were asking. Now that we have this high resolution data, how this high resolution information can help interpreting the signature from the ocean that we can see in other satellite data. So here on the top right, what I show here is the impact of the tropical cyclone of the sea surface temperature. And what you can see is you have a cooling wake after the tropical cyclone is passed. And you have also the same thing for the sea surface 8, so what I call here SSH, okay? So what we did is we built a joint data set between SSH, SST, also pre-storm oceanic condition to characterize the mixed layer depth, and the TC vortex parameters that are provided by our SAR measurements. And so we built this data set, and we also developed a model to relate the anomaly of SST measure to the other parameter given by the vortex and the pre-storm oceanic condition. And we analyze more than 150 cases. They are on this map. And for 130 cases, we could use only observation, meaning the SST and SSH were given by radiometer and altimeter, the pre-storm by Argo floats, and the TC vortex parameter by the SAR data. What is interesting is to look at the comparison we can have when we use all this observation. So here I just present the analysis for the SSH, but it's the anomaly of height after the pass of a hurricane, but it's in fact the same for the SST. And what you can see is that the model we start with the left hand side. So here the model has been used with input from the SAR derived vortex parameter and from the Argo data to describe the mixed layer depth. And when you compare the result with altimeter measurements, you see that there is a very good agreement. And what is interesting to notice here is that if progressively you do sensitivity test and you remove some of these high resolution observation, then the accuracy of your model is decreasing, showing that indeed it's very important to have a good description at high resolution of the mixed layer depth and also the vortex structure if you want to analyze the RC interaction after a tropical cyclone pass. So you see the second one, we remove the Argo floats information for the mixed layer depth and we use only a climatology. On the third one, we remove the SAR derived vortex information to replace by the tropical cyclone track information. And on the last one, we remove both Argo and the best track information, and you see that the scatter really increase. So the last application was about waves. So here we were wondering if we could use SAR to help provide a consistent description between the tropical cyclone wind and the tropical cyclone generated wave. So to answer this question, we first build a data set with joint wind observation and waves measurements. And here I will show some results for the tropical cyclone Goni. You can see on the right hand side on the top that we see this tropical cyclone several times, in fact. So it's very good case to do some analysis. And we also build an analytical model, very simple model to reproduce the tropical cyclone generated wave given a tropical cyclone wind vortex. So you see that this model is able to capture the so-called trap fetch effect, where you see that the waves that are generated by the hurricane will depend on the translation of the hurricane, the radius, so the extent of the wind, and the intensity of the storm. So in the bottom, it's force simulation, and here we only vary the translation speed, and you see how the translation speed of the system will change the waves that are generated by the hurricane. So we apply this to Goni. So I explained briefly what we did. On the left-hand side, you see all the measurements we have. So in the background, this is the wind field obtained by our SAR data combined with scatterometer to really have a complete view of the vortex, both in the inner and the outer core. The line are the altimeter for the wave measurements. In the middle, this is the results of the simulation. So on the top, it's for the significant wave height and for the wavelengths. And on the bottom, it's the same, but only for the wind waves part of the simulation. And on the right-hand side, you can see the measurements in blue and given by an altimeter, and for the waves. So here it's the intensity, and in red this is the result from the model. And here again, when we perform some sensitivity test, we observe that indeed having an accurate description of the vortex and in particular of the radius maximum wind speed is a key element to produce a realistic wave field. So to conclude, I would say that Caravelle participated to the demonstration that strategy to maximize the observation of a tropical cyclone with the SAR, the existing SAR mission, is possible if we take into account the fact that we can indeed rely on the TC track forecast to do some late programming of the sensor. We also show the ability of this polarization can be used to provide an estimate of this wind speed, and that these estimates can be used to provide key parameters to describe the TC inner core and outer core. And doing this, we show that in particular for the inner core, we were capable to have a very innovative measurement of inner core parameter with respect to the existing measurements. This work has also allowed us to be in contact with Tropical Cyclone Center and to present them the product. And in fact, now these data are operationally used by some of the centers, in particular the Joint Typhoon Center. And finally, regarding the interaction between the ocean and the atmosphere. What we show is that indeed, if you want to analyze this or to model this interaction, you really need to have an accurate description of both the vortex at high resolution, but also of the mixed-layer depth in the ocean. So, and to conclude, I will say that IFREMER contributed to Caravelle by funded 2 PhD students, which are Clément Combeau and Léo Vinour. And most of this presentation is in fact based on their work. And so I would like also to thank them before giving a big thanks to all the contributors to this presentation apart from these 2 students. Thank you very much.